I'm Devorah Wallen, and I'd like to share my Tea for Two, my Torah thought for 2 minutes, more or less. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Vayechi and begins with the words Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim Sheva ve'esrei shana Vayehi yemei Yaakov Shnei chayav Sheva shanim ve'arbaim uma'as shana. And Yaakov lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, and the days of Yaakov were 147 years. We say the name of the portion represents its essence. How then is it that the name of the portion is "and he lived," but it is referring to Yaakov's passing? The next several verses discuss his summoning his sons before him to bless them before he dies. It's interesting that similarly, we read Parshas Chaye Sarah, meaning the life of Sarah, several parshas ago, but that portion speaks about her death as well. Our sages explain this strange phenomenon. It's not just a euphemism for death, otherwise everyone who passed away in the Torah would have the same words eulogizing them. The commentators explain that the life of these exemplary people is through their progeny as well as their undying commitment to revealing godliness in the world. Sarah is considered the mother of all Jewish women, and Yaakov is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel, the Jewish nation. Yaakov's uninterrupted commitment to Torah, even when he was in Egypt, demonstrates true life. Additionally, when the verse states, "And Yaakov lived 17 years in the land of Egypt," the commentators explain that this is referring to the 17 good years that he lived after being reunited with Yosef after the 22 years of doleful mourning, imagining him dead. These 17 years, Yosef set him up with his family in Goshen, the choicest of the land of Egypt. They were able to accommodate their large family and possessions, as well as establish houses of Torah study. It's fascinating that even though Yaakov wanted to stay in the land of Canaan, the Holy Land, his best years were in the land that is called the most detestable and lowly place in the world. He and Yosef were able to elevate their surroundings while staying committed to their spiritual devotion. Another interesting thing is found in the word Vayechi itself. It has the gematria, or numerical equivalent of 34. The commentators explain that these were the 17 good years that he spent with Yosef in his youth before he was thrown into the pit, plus the 17 additional years that he lived in Egypt with him again, full circle, totaling Vayechi, 34. Thus for Yaakov, these 17 years were his most pleasant. Contrasted with his challenging youth, only now in Egypt could he have true and complete nachas from all of his children reunited. The Talmud, Tractate Tainus, says, Yaakov, our forefather, did not die. This Talmudic excerpt goes on to say, Mazaro b'chaim, af hu b'chaim. Because his children are alive, he is still alive. Mark Twain, who was known as an anti-Semite, had to acknowledge the eternity of God's people. In Harper's Magazine, which is still in publication, September 1899, he wrote, and I must excerpt, "If the statistics are right, the Jews constitute but 1% of the human race. Properly, the Jew ought hardly to be heard of, but he is heard of, and has always been heard of. His contributions to the world's list of great names in literature, science, art, music, finance, medicine, and obtuse learning are also way out of proportion to the weakness of his numbers. The Egyptians, the Babylonians, and the Persians rose, filled the planet with sound and splendor, and faded to dream stuff and passed away. The Jews saw them all, beat them all, and is now what he always was, exhibiting no decadence, no infirmities of age, no weakening of his parts, no slowing of his energies, no dulling of his alert and aggressive mind. All things are mortal but the Jew. All other forces pass, but he remains. Am Yisrael Chai, the people of Israel are alive. Since his children are alive and thriving, Yaakov is still alive. May we all continue carrying the torch, illuminating the world through our special gift of being Am Yisrael.